Hey there! Welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, we're all about anime recaps and interesting anime moments. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on our awesome content. Let's dive right in. Today, we have a very interesting anime called Dead Mount Death Play, and it's basically about a legendary necromancer known as the corpse god who is finally slain by a hero, only to wake up in the body of a teenager called Bolka shinuyama. But that teenager's life is far from peaceful. So, without any more delay, let's start episode 1. It starts with Sir Shagrua Edith Lugrid, the church's Calamity Crusher, arriving with Rikiri Alafalardo leading his support team of her fellow priests and priestesses. Shagrua confronts the legendary necromancer while his team remains on standby. With his magic restocked, Corpse God calls a dragon bound to him, but Shagrua cleaves the dragon in twain with one mighty strike. Then, we learn that Shagrua has the evil eyes when he informs the Corpse God that he can see all the souls that Corpse God has sacrificed. During the fight, Shagrua attacks with a direct sword strike to Corpse God's ribcage, revealing Corpse God's true form as a brain in a jar suspended by chains. Afterward, we see the corpse god weaving unrecognizable magic, and Shagrua recognizes that it must be stopped. And with a final spell and a final strike, magic spreads all over the mine when Shagrua's sword pierces the spell. Meanwhile, a teenager with a slit throat opens his eyes to a gray sky and unfamiliar walls on either side of him, with speaking difficulties. However, he can manage, so he walks out of the alley into an urban square. Everything from the architecture and transportation to the clothes and the language is utterly foreign to him. So, he rests on the steps leading to Shinjuku Station. He sees happy children passing by and implies that this country is a peaceful one, and then he thinks of the country he has left behind. Regardless of whether he can return to that country, he hopes it has a future. After that, two Shinjuku policemen greet him in the land's language, and he realizes that the more they talk, the more he understands. The policeman's questions made him start speaking. Then, a girl called Misaki Sakimiya appears and says she is glad that Bolka is all right, grabs his hand, and sprints away. Once Misaki has led Bolka into an alley, she introduces herself and asks if Bolka remembers her. He tries to, which pains him. Then, Misaki shocks us by declaring that she will kill him for a second time. This leads to memories jumping into Bolka's head, and he takes off running. He catches his breath inside an abandoned building, limited by his body's weak strength and near total absence of magic. Without magic, he cannot treat his fresh wound, and without magic, he cannot treat a fatal wound. Then, Misaki finds him and flings 5 knives at him that he dodges. He uses a stray piece of pipe to parry her crowbar repeatedly, each time just barely until he can run past her, motivated by the peaceful land that the children's smiles promised and the children he left behind. He enters a torture room, and Misaki explains that the building is infamous in her line of work as an alleged major execution ground for the Yakuza and that ghosts and gangsters haunt it. Of course, such talk of ghosts and gangsters is meant to scare Bolka. Perhaps it would if Bolka still inhabited his own body, but Bolka's possessor possesses the evil eye. He can see the souls of the Yakuza's victims strung up on chains, lying in the dissolving tub, on the ground, in the corner. That Bolka's possessor retains his evil eye in a different body affirms the possessor's suspicion that the evil eye is a power of the soul rather than anatomy. Then, eyeing the souls of Misaki's victims who haunt her at this very moment, these souls scatter as she dashes toward Bolka once more. But Bolka, who is revealed as the corpse god, converts these souls into magic and, with a single digit of a monstrously large skeletal hand, impales Misaki and pins her to a pillar. Meanwhile, in the coal mine after Shagrua's fight with the corpse god near the shattered jar, Shagrua confides in Rikiri that he is uncertain if he saw his job to completion since the corpse god had succeeded in activating his spell. He says, at that moment, the spell had resembled teleportation magic. In the second Shagrua spied corpse god's soul with his evil eye, it vanished. Rikuria says that all traces of the corpse god have vanished from this world according to a report from the observation unit. You saved the world, she insists. Sir Shagrua replies that he can only hope she is right. Next is episode 2. It starts with a flashback, showing the corpse god's reflection, where he served as a necromancer on imperial battlegrounds after being sold to the imperial court sorcerers by his parents. After the empire's fall, he sought a quiet life and found it in living with 5 youths. However, their peaceful existence was shattered when Geldwood soldiers killed the children, and believed they had freed their souls from the corpse god's influence. In revenge, he turned their lives into a century-long pursuit of vengeance in an abandoned coal mine, transforming it into a gruesome labyrinth of corpses. Meanwhile, Takumi, who is an info broker, has been observing the situation. He communicated with his superior, Clarissa, and shared footage of Polka yelling at Misaki's lifeless body. Then we have another flashback featuring Misaki's past, where she witnesses a tragic event involving the murder of her parents, and harbors a desire for revenge. Later, she becomes a skilled assassin, known as Zaki the Killer. She confronts the man responsible for her parents' death and kills him. When a client requested the assassination of a 16-year-old, Misaki volunteered for the job. She successfully killed Polka. However, as she contemplates her actions near a fence, she decides to step off it to test whether she can kill herself. Takumi interrupts her fall with a call, informing her that Polka is alive despite having a slit throat. Back to the present, Misaki awakens to a surreal situation. She discovers that she has been magically resurrected as a zombie. Just before that, a fire breaks out in a building housing orphaned children, and the corpse god intervenes by using his powers to rescue them. He communicates with the spirits of deceased parents, facilitating the safe rescue of the children. Then, after that, Clarissa instructs Takumi to guide Polka back to the abandoned building. Misaki, who has been resurrected, wakes up and questions her condition. Clarissa engages in a discussion with the corpse god about his vision of peace and the means to achieve it. Despite the corpse god's uncertainty about the peaceful life he desires, he contemplates using his magic to make money in this world, and Clarissa offers to assist Polka in adapting to life in Japan and assigns Misaki and Takumi to help him in this new chapter. Next is episode 3. Takumi and Misaki assist Corpse God in moving to the torture building. We learn about Corpse God's intention to investigate the client who commissioned Polka's murder, considering Lisa's vow of secrecy. And we discover that the real Polka's soul possesses a malfunctioning drone. Until Corpse God finds another suitable vessel for him. Then we encounter a man seeks Zaki's help to deal with hitmen pursuing him, but he leads Misaki into an ambush and shoots her. Despite being shot, Misaki revives and takes on another group of men. Corpse God intervenes, using great skeletal hands to transform the remaining men into a human knot. After the chaos, Misaki notices she has no bullet holes. Later, the three of them order pizza and discuss Misaki's status as a zombie. Corpse God continues to assert his belief in the connection between his world and this one. Lisa interrupts her late-night activities with Karudo Ichinos and Izuna Ajishiro to address an unhappy client. She disputes the client's claim that Polka is just a high schooler and hints that the client may have been dishonest from the start. She puts their business relationship on hold. Meanwhile, patrol officers arrive at the scene of the ambush to investigate reported gunshots, leading to discovering the human knots. About the same time, inside a bar, Tsubaki, who is the manager of materials compiling group number 3, pretends to be drunk to extract information from Urai about the Shikuzawa building fire and Clarissa. He learns that Clarissa is on an unusual late-night shift, and duty calls, preventing him and Arasa from waiting until her shift begins. Upon reaching the human knot scene with Arasa, Ivanom acknowledges that his team was called for a good reason, as dealing with such trouble is their specialty. Next is episode 4. Tsubaki presents the various troublemakers to the team, highlighting their role in solving extraordinary cases that must remain confidential. He mentions the three troublemakers still at large: the Grim Reaper, fire-breathing bug, and Lemmings. The team suspects that fire-breathing bug may be connected to the Shikuzawa building fire, while Lemmings' footprints were found at a recent crime scene. Meanwhile, Corpse God transfers the soul of the real Polka into a stuffed shark toy. And he explains that to enable Polka to speak, they'd need fresh human vocal cords, a process that requires a significant amount of mana. And so replenishing his magic is their current priority, and exorcising ghosts is a viable way to achieve this. He also mentions another method of restoring magic through mana stones, which are essentially regular gemstones in this world. However, he deems them expensive after a visit to a jewelry store. While shopping for mana stones, they encounter Kozaburo, a detective who recognizes Takumi's drone and engages them in conversation. Concerned about the police investigation, Takumi calls Arasa, threatening to expose a video of him harassing innocent kids unless he backs off. Arasa warns Corpse God about the risks of associating with Takumi, emphasizing his potential to betray them. But Misaki demonstrates her combat abilities when she swiftly counters Arasa. And they manages to escape, with Corpse God using a large skeletal hand to carry them away. Arasa investigates the footprint left by Misaki's kick, discovering that it matches a print from the human knots crime scene. Meanwhile, other investigators discuss the enigmatic and dangerous figure known as Lemmings. Tsubaki Ivanome gets drunk in Utokoru and brings up Clarissa's possible involvement with the Grim Reaper, creating an atmosphere of tension and intrigue. Misaki arrives at the bar with Corpse God, and the situation becomes even more complicated. Ivanome receives a text from Arasa about individuals connected to the recent human knot case, raising suspicions. Then, Arasa visits the bar and encounters Misaki and Corpse God, leading to a potentially confrontational situation. As the lights in the bar suddenly go out, an ominous presence becomes palpable, setting the stage for an unexpected turn of events. Next is Episode 5. Corpse God, Misaki, and others face Lemmings, a dangerous individual who has just appeared at a bar to kidnap Misaki for unknown reasons. Corpse God's encounter with Lemmings is intense and filled with action. After the incident in the bar, Corpse God and his friends decide to start a fortune-telling business to make money. They use a combination of genuine insights and gimmicks to attract clients. Their venture turns out to be surprisingly successful, quickly earning them a substantial sum. The story takes an interesting turn when they encounter two young individuals, Kazuki and Shizuki, who claim to be the nieces and nephews of Polka. Corpse God attempts to maintain his cover by promising to protect them in response to a request from a mysterious spirit humming around the twins, and he informs the kids that he is coming home. Tensions escalate as they realize that Polka's life is in danger due to his connections with the wealthy Shinuyama family. Next is Episode 6. In this section of the story, Shizuki and Kazuki, accompanied by the mysterious spirit, welcome Corpse God and Misaki to the Shinuyama mansion, where they have lunch with various family members, including Takeru Shinuyama, Kiri, and other relatives. Misaki explains Polka's role in saving her, including from a suicide attempt. Takeru seems surprised by Polka's association with Sakimiya Steel's heiress, and Misaki corrects him about the company's status. We learn that Takeru is involved with Shinuyama Security, which handles the Shinuyama Group's covert operations. Then, Razan Shinuyama, a significant figure in the family, enters and has a private conversation with Corpse God about his life as a fortune teller. Razan eventually questions Corpse God's identity and threatens him with a katana, wanting to know what happened to the real Polka. Corpse God becomes aware of a potential danger to the twins and leaves in haste after he promised Razan to tell him the truth. Shortly afterward, an explosion occurs at the mansion, causing smoke to billow into the sky. The narrative then shifts to events from 2 years ago when Suzuka encountered a conversation involving a relative and the fire-breathing bug disguised as a bodyguard, discussing a plan to create a fire. Suzuka tried to warn her family but was killed when the bodyguard caused an explosion in the boiler room. In the present, the arsonist, Bug, leads the twins to an underground room with no apparent exit. Misaki follows them and confronts Bug, while promising Suzuka that she and Corpse God will rescue the twins. Bug creates a deadly fire around them. As the fire threatens the twins, Corpse God arrives and, with the help of skeletal hands, saves them. Suzuka's spirit reassures the twins and embraces them. Corpse God takes the twins to safety as the situation de-escalates. The story then transitions to the police's involvement. In a police car, the Bug meets a fiery fate after strange phrases are written on the vehicle's ceiling, indicating a sinister presence. The narrative concludes with the true, fire-breathing Bug singing, while the imposter meets a fiery end.
一体何が起こったんだ。柳の根っこで泣いている。ピチピチチャップチャップランランラン。
Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe button, the bell button, and comment your thoughts below. Until the next video, have a nice day.